Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Carbon or Bunny and I post a video every other week talking about the stuff I've been making. This week I have kind of a lot of stuff that I worked on. I got a lot of progress done on Caitlin, 2XKO Caitlin, that's probably the icon for this video. And then I also did some merch. So that's really fun. But before we get into that, I do have channel updates. So I've got a couple of updates. One is I am updating my review of this machine. So I have been working with her for a couple weeks. I picked up this machine. She's a floor model. She was on the floor for like a year or two. And I picked her up because I took in my daily driver to be maintenanced. I didn't think I could live without a sewing machine for like 6 weeks straight. That sounded insane to me. So yeah, I picked her up a couple weeks ago and she just like straight up jammed on me this week and I didn't have a crash out about it. I promise I didn't have a crash out about it. Definitely didn't have a bit of a crash out about it. Anyways, she's been like jamming up every now and then where the motor just like stops and I have to like hand crank through a couple stitches and then the motor can pick back up again. I don't know why that happens. I don't know enough about sewing machines. But it jammed on me and I was like in the middle of sewing a dart for a mock-up and I was just like, that's it. I'm done. I give up. I've had this machine for like not even 3 weeks and she's already giving me so many problems. So I called the store that I got her from. I'm not going to name the store because I don't think I feel comfortable enough like naming the stores that I go to on a weekly basis on YouTube. That seems like a bit much. But I called the store that I bought her at and was like, hey, my machine's doing this thing. I kind of want to bring her in to return her. And they're like, oh yeah, just come in. We'll talk about it. So I bring her in, and keep in mind, this is with the mock-up like still in the machine because I could not get a grip on the hand crank to like get the needle out. And I opened her up and I couldn't like finagle the thing that holds the bobbin. I couldn't get either of those out. I could get like the bobbin holder out because obviously that one like always pops out really easy. But the machine was the needle was down, and so I couldn't get the rest of the pieces out. So I like go in and I still have my mock-up attached to my machine. I feel ridiculous and I'm really frustrated. Really luckily, one of the repair techs was just like hanging out in like the front of the store. I guess he was like taking a break or something. And he just like sat down and looked at it. He was able to like finagle out the other pieces in the inside of the bobbin carriage. And he did like a couple just like checking it, running through the basics, like, you know, what do you do when you pull your needle out? Like, what position is your needle in when you're pulling your fabric out? What position is your needle in when you start? How do you put the bobbin in? Like all that, like we did like the really basic troubleshooting stuff. And I'm doing everything right. I've been using front loading bobbin machines for like 10 years at this point. Like I know how to not totally fuck it up, you know what I mean? But he said that my needle wasn't centered properly and that could be causing it. He straightened that out. And then I also found out that you're supposed to be oiling these machines on a daily basis. I didn't know that. When I talked to the girl who was helping me, she said every sewing day. And like, this isn't my job. I am definitely like solidly like a hobbyist. Like I do spend a lot of time on my machine, but I am a hobbyist. I'm not like pumping out like quilts or dresses or anything to sell in a shop or anything. I make like, I don't know, 15 garments a year. Like that's not a lot. She said I need to oil at the start of every sewing day. So I think I'm gonna try oiling it at the start of every week just to like see how that feels. She said I can't over oil my machine. I don't know if that's true. I feel like you can definitely over oil a machine, but she said just like put a drop in where like the metal rubs on the metal. So I'm going to start doing that for this machine and for my daily driver when I get her back. I get her back in a couple weeks. So I don't know, maybe I like her more moving forward. I was just really happy that I could go in and they were able to work with me and like teach me to oil my machine because I did not know that. I don't think I've talked about it very much on this channel. I talk about it later in the video. Like I didn't go to school to learn how to sew. I just like, someone in my family gave me a machine and taught me how to thread the machine and was like, go. No, that looks like garbage. Do better. And I'm like, okay. I just learned a lot by trial and error and like learning on YouTube. And no one on YouTube talks about how to maintenance your machine. They're just like, this is how I sewed this dress. Cause that's like what gets clicks. You know what I mean? Other things that I worked on. I worked on dice bags for a friend. My friend Doge is making really cute little like VTuber dice. They're doing limited runs of the dice, and part of those limited runs, they really wanted to do dice bags. And I was like, well, I have an embroidery machine. Let me try making dice bags. And I talked about that like a couple weeks ago when I did the Lala Barina piece. I finally made some bags for them. It was a little bit of a pain, but that's okay. So Doge sent me PNG for the little icon on. I just did the auto embroidery for Hatch. They have like an auto digitize option in the software. So I did that, and then I just like adjusted some of the thread directions to be something closer to what I liked, and then made sure like the scale and everything was good. I think I bought half a yard of fabric for this just in case. I used some of this also, like some of the fabric for a bandana for like a friend's dog too. So I didn't use the full half yard for these. I could probably make, I think, like 15 of them if I used the full half yard, but I didn't have that, so I only made like 10-ish. Anyways, so I measured out all of the individual pattern pieces I would need for the bags on the fabric that you see and like the clip that's going right now. And then I just did a bunch of hoops and ran it through my machine. And it was kind of annoying because some of these sections are like really, really tiny. And so it would like literally be like not even 60 seconds of a color running. And then I would have to go over and swap the thread out, and then it would run for 60 seconds. And then I would swap the thread out, and then it would run for 60 seconds. And then I would swap the thread out. When you're doing that for 4 hours, which is about how long it took, it was kind of annoying. The good part was that like the body of the design takes like 10 minutes. So I could like, I mean, kind of do other stuff if I wanted. I think I was just like watching, I was in a Discord call hanging out with people, I think. But I'll normally just like watch a YouTube video or like a TV show or read a book or like be on my Switch or something while this is running. Something that I can like put down really easily. Also, they are 100% cotton, which is really nice. The patches I show later are also 100% cotton. I have qualms about selling something that's synthetic. I also have like qualms with like single-use synthetic fabrics for my own craft stuff. I'm not saying you can't do it. Do whatever you want. I am just some dude on the internet. But it makes me really uncomfortable to be like working with synthetics and know that like, oh yeah, this mock-up I made will be plastic for another 100 years and not return to the earth. And I used it for 2 hours. That winds up making me really uncomfortable. Same thing with cosplays or anything that I'm selling. I am wearing my cosplays more than I used to, so I am getting more use out of them. But if I'm only wearing a costume for like 5 or 6 days out of a year, and then my body composition changes and I can't wear it anymore, like I don't want that to be a plastic. I'm okay with my time sinking into something like that. That's fine. I don't mind that. We have to fill our days with something on this earth. I'm less comfortable having like a plastic. So that's why I'm using like cotton threads for a majority of the pieces that I'm working on, and then also natural fabrics, so like silks, cottons, linens. The other thing that I worked on was I worked on these little Palico patches. I've worked on selling patches in the past. I did them on my Cricut machine, so they're just like iron-on vinyl transfers. I did like a really small batch of them with like vinyl I had left over from a project that I didn't see myself using anytime soon, so I was like kind of okay with it. It did make me incredibly uncomfortable to make like $200 off of a plastic that will never biodegrade. It made me feel like a printer CEO who makes disposable printers instead of reusable ink cartridges. So, these are 100% cotton, which I'm really happy about. So these are made with a cotton from FWD. It's actually the same cotton for my Caitlin skirt. I bought just like 5 yards of it because I go through a lot of like white cotton fabric pretty quickly. And there's no reason to just not have it in bulk. I'm gonna use it. It'll get used at some point. So I made a couple patches from this, again, just to kind of like see how I feel about the process. I haven't really been one to like sell my work in the past. I'm not very good at commissions. Please don't commission me. Like, really, please don't commission me. I'm not good at them. I'm built different. I can't do them, okay? If I'm gonna sell anything, I'm gonna do it in small batches and stuff like that. Like I did that for my Misfortune bells that I sold a couple years ago. These are just like a 2-part plastic, but I thought they were really cute. And I think I made like maybe 5 or 6 of them, and I sold these at events. I think they turned out really great and really cute. I also wanted to get a feel for like how comfortable I am just like sitting and babysitting my machine, and like what I feel like the cost payoff needs to be for me to be willing to do that. Part of the reason I was okay with buying this machine was like, oh, I'm gonna make patches and sell patches, because one of my friends sells like vinyl decals a lot, and so he'll just spend like 4 days straight, like in between conventions, because he does like he goes to a lot of conventions. He'll just spend like 4 days straight, like watching movies with his vinyl cutter running in the background and then like weeding. And then he's able to make pretty decent money off of his vinyls. And I was like, that seems like something I can do. Like, or I can just babysit my machine in meetings and stuff like that. And like, oh, I can min max and make some money and like earn money back on my extremely expensive sewing machine. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm gonna try and make a couple other patches. I've got like the Ari patch that I made last week, and I do plan to make those as gifts. I don't think I'm gonna be selling them. Like I plan on making more of these, and then also like Caitlin and probably like Blitzcrank and Jinx and stuff like that. And I plan on giving those to devs, and then like all the layoffs for 2XKO happened. So like, I don't know. I'm still gonna have them for any devs that might be a combo breaker, or it looks like I might be assisting with a booth at Evo. So I might do the same thing I did last year and like have gifts to give to the rioters. I don't know. It wasn't too bad. I think I was just being a baby about it. Those are the non-cosplay things that I worked on. Cosplay things that I worked on this week. The footage for the corset. You will see that footage in like a couple minutes. I did a couple mock-ups for the dress. You'll actually see me do a fitting for the dress in a couple minutes. And then I did a mock-up for her hat. And then I also did a mock-up for the jacket. I did the tracings that I need to figure out the scale that I want to do her gun in. That way I can figure out how I want to split the gun to be print. That way I can start modeling it, which is like a really long chain to figure out how I wind up splitting things up to model it. I think the gun is still too big. I shrank it already once and I think it is just too big. So I'll shrink it one more time and see if that's right. So yeah, anyway, let me cut on over to Past Carbon to do some fittings and show you what that looks like. Last week, I was very sick and I had a fever and it showed. And I did have a little bit of footage of me like wearing the like finished corset, but I looked extremely ill and I did not feel like immortalizing how sick I looked in a YouTube video. So I'm really happy with this corset. I think it looks really good. I think the alterations look really nice. It's really comfortable. I'm really happy about. I think it's like a really flattering shape. I know I haven't finished the zipper yet. I haven't done any of the finishings. I haven't added in my waist tape yet. I still need to do that, and I still need to like trim the zipper and stuff. Other than that, like I'm really happy with this corset. I think it looks good from like every angle. I'm really happy with where the top line is. Like I can raise my arms and I'm good. I am covered. I can like sit really comfortably. Like when I like sat down in this to do my makeup this morning, felt nice. It felt how like the corsets normally fit me when I'm sitting. It's comfortable. I can stand, I can sit. I can wear this for like 14 hours straight and be good. Let me swap over to the dress. Okay. Oh wait, should I do a funny transition? Should I like... Okay, so this is the dress. This is the second mock-up for the dress. This is the second fitting for this dress. I didn't film the first fitting for the dress because I do my first fittings inside out and it makes it look like really awkward and bad. And so like if you aren't familiar with like what dresses look like, with a 5/8 seam allowance inside out, it looks really weird and like wide and awkward. I took like one picture and you can see the difference. I didn't take like the body of the dress in at all in this image. This is literally just like when the seam allowance is sticking out, it like looks awkward and like really, really funky. So that's why I didn't film that. Let me see, where do I want to start? I do think that this fits really well. It's currently folded over and under into the corset to get this line. I've got like... That's too much space. I wish I wasn't on a black background. Actually, wait, I have a thingy. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so hopefully you can see me a little bit better. Oh. Okay, so hopefully you can see me a little bit better now. Not the biggest fan. So I'll take in the sides a little bit. There's like a lot in here. Let me pinch with my dominant hand. I don't know. Oh, right, because I don't have sleeves, so this dress isn't gonna... When you have sleeves and your shoulder raises, your clothes will raise with it. But I don't have sleeves on, and I did some of my original fitting under the assumption that the garment would need to stretch when I raised my arm, but it doesn't need to do that because it doesn't have sleeves. Duh. Anyway, this is how you do all your fittings and like the right cut, not with the shoulder still attached. I'm going to pin this and you're going to see why I do my fittings inside out because it's really, really awkward to like, you basically pinch it into a French seam, which is a pain in the ass to transfer and I hate doing it. So that's why I like to do my stuff inside out. I think, like, I don't know, I guess I could leave it like this, but I think it's going to look like way nicer if I take it in just that like itty bitty bit. I'm gonna pin this. I'm gonna shut up and just pin this. Okay, that definitely took a second and was really awkward. So I have that pinned out. I do want to pin both sides. Whenever you're doing adjustments, you wanna make sure you make them evenly on both sides, assuming it's not an asymmetric design, because you don't wanna just like pinch everything out on the right and accidentally take out twice as much as you actually needed to take out. You wanna have it be like even. So yeah, so I made it even. I'm just gonna kind of tug. I don't know, I think the rest of it looks fine. I know it is a little wrinkly, and I think that's because I have too much fabric like up and down. Also because it's sticking to the corset a little funky. But I'm not too concerned about the silk that I picked out for this. I think it'll work out fine. So I'm really happy with the height that this is at. I think this is like kind of basically perfect. The like trim that I have pinned on at the bottom is like super wibbly wobbly, so I'm not too worried about it. What else do I need to do for this? I don't know. I think this looks generally good. I'll look at I've got some mock-up. I've got her collar section tucked in here. I haven't finished working out this mock-up. It looks ugly because that's just like how I think about things. I'll come back to that in a second though. We're just gonna shove that back in there. The rest of it I think fits generally. Ooh, wait, hold on. Okie dokie. So I pinned in the sides a little bit more. I decided I do want to pinch out the waist, and that'll look really nice. Other things I have to address, I've got some seams that have popped over here when trying to get this over my hips. I need to check to see, yeah, so you can see this one is like way lower than where the zipper goes, which means I know the top looks really bad. Don't worry, that's just extra fabric. That's all gonna get cut off. I didn't know how tall to make it, so like, ignore the flappy dude. Actually, can I tuck it? Yep, that fixed it. There was just too much fabric in the back. That looks way better. I am thunking. Yeah, but okay, so the hole that I have here is like way lower than where the zipper is. That means that I need more space. I basically just popped a seam pulling this thing over my hips. I might try and just fix that seam and then pull it over my head and see if that's an easier way to get it on. Because I really don't want the zipper to go all the way down to there. Like that's too much zipper. I think that's too much zipper. I'm not necessarily looking to do that. Other than that, all of this looks really good. I have some alterations to do on the sides, and then I will take those in, and then I will be back. Wait. And then I will be back. Okay, so I like this. I think this is good. I think I maybe took it in a little bit too much. Just like the tiniest pinch too much, but I think that's okay. I can let it out if I need. I'm not the biggest fan of some of these like side wrinkles happening on the corset. I also don't know why they're happening. I don't know. I'm not that good at sewing. Oh, this is actually a good time to mention. I'm a self-taught seamstress. I didn't like go to school or anything. I just like read the instructions on patterns and then made like a lot of mistakes and watched a lot of YouTube videos, but mostly I made a lot of mistakes. So I'm not an expert. I'm just kind of doing my best out here. But yeah, I think this fixed like a lot of the gapping. Let me untuck this. I tucked it. Yeah, that's like way better. That's way nicer. I think I took out 4 inches on this dress. I took out a lot. It was like kind of a lot. It might have only been like 3 inches. It was like an inch per seam, which so like if it's an inch on the side of the seam and an inch on the side of the seam, that's 2 inches, and then on the other side makes it 4 inches. So that's how you do like seam math when doing alterations. I think this fits a lot better now. I think I've got the nice like, I look like an anime character, which is the goal. That's the goal, to look a little fake, to look a little Barbie. So now that that's all like figured out, I want to, yoink, for my next trick. That's a joke. So she has like the collar thingy. I think it's supposed to be an undershirt. I'm not making undershirt. That's sweaty and disgusting. I try and like minimize the number of layers I'm wearing for a costume. So if someone just has like the top collar poking out, it's just going to be a part of the dress. I did the same thing for Cagliostro. I'll put like a picture up here. She's in like a full like t-shirt and like skirt and like vest combo. And I turned the t-shirt into a bunny suit. That way I wouldn't have to wear a short sleeve shirt and a short sleeve vest and a cape and a long wig at the same time because I was competing in Florida and that's disgusting. So yeah, I will fake like a lot of my costumes, like layers, just that way I'm not as like, all day, especially the ones that you like can't take off. Like I could not take off Caitlin's undershirt, you know what I mean? But if I just make the whole dress sleeveless, I can just take my jacket off. And that's going to be much more comfortable. I tried a couple things for this. I know this looks horrible right now. That's okay. It doesn't need to look pretty. It needs to look like it's the right size. I tried ruching it, like both here and then also at the top and doing like kind of like a gather. Looked hideous and like I was wearing a diaper on my neck. Not doing that one. So instead what I'm going to do is I have this piece sewn on. So I like kind of know how tall it is. And to make sure that I think this is like the correct bust height, You know, I think I do want to lower this just a little bit. I want it to be a little bit closer to the apex of my bust for where her shirt starts to come out, because I think that's kind of what it looks like on her dress. Also, I think it'll look nice and it'll look pretty, and that's just as good a reason to do something for a costume when it's like a 1/4 inch difference in height, like whatever. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the shape that I need, and like the full shape that I need, and then I'm just gonna like drape pleats in the fabric that I have for this. I've got this like really sheer cotton from Renaissance Fabrics, and just guess and hope it works, and it'll probably be fine. I do have her collar shape worked out. I did a little bit of that. So this is about the piece I'm going to be using for her collar. I do think it's a little tall right now. I kind of don't care. I think it looks fine. I think it looks cute. This does not have seam allowance on it. Obviously, I just kind of like drew the shape and said this is close enough. And then what else? I have the jacket, but we will get to that in a minute. Okay, so this is my jacket pattern. I have already made a couple alterations to it. I will be making a couple more. I'm not the happiest with it so far, but this is kind of what I have going on. So I pulled a pattern that I have out of my like pattern stash. Don't know where it came from. It is made out of scrap fabric. I'm pretty sure I just like traced it off of another fabric pattern that I had. It doesn't fit me. It like it doesn't fit me at all. It doesn't fit me at all. I tried to install the sleeves. Didn't fit. The sleeves had like an extra like 7 inches. Because the eye hole was too small for the sleeve shape. And like sleeves elude me. Don't know how any of those shapes work. No, that doesn't make any. So this was kind of what the pattern was. This is a little bit closer to how the pattern looked when I like first threw the mock-up together. This is the original armhole. It looks horrible. I hate it. This is the new armhole. I shortened it a little bit, I think. I brought it up like a little bit to make it closer to being in line with my underbust, which I think is a little bit closer to Caitlin's look. I brought the collar down a little bit. I need to bring it down, I think, a little bit more in the back. I'm not too happy with how tall it goes up my neck in the back. This is about the shape her jacket takes. Her jacket is definitely zhuzhed in game. It does not close. There's no way in how that jacket closes. So my jacket won't close either because it's a costume and it doesn't need to be real. I think this is really good. I know there's like extra fabric up in the pit area still. I think that's just the seam allowance, so I don't want to trim that out yet. If I like need to pinch it out, I'll pinch it out once I have the sleeve installed, because I still need to figure out how the fuck to make a sleeve fit in this thing. This is going to be such a piecemeal edit. I hope this all like makes sense, unlike last week's. So like I cut out the collar a little bit so it lays a little bit flatter. We can see that difference a little bit. I like that it like falls right before my neck starts to swoop up versus the side, which like, oh, that was the seam allowance. Oops, that was probably the seam allowance. I literally just made the comment about the armpit and then I trimmed it. I like that this is like straight on the side versus the side where it like swoops down. I do think I also want to dart the jacket because it does flare out a little bit. I think this looks really good. I think this is, I don't know, it's coming at Millhouse. It's all coming at Millhouse. I think I look like Caitlin. I look like an anime girly, and I think the best shapes are right. Back to real-time carbon, I guess. So I lied. I don't know if you knew that, but you are allowed to, in fact, lie on the internet. I did other stuff this week that I forgot about because I didn't make any notes before filming because I didn't. Awesome. So other things that I worked on this week, actually, I did a mock-up for the hat. The hat looks a little stupid. Let me take my hair down for this. So let me fix my bangs. I feel so stupid wearing this. This is the better mock-up. I had another mock-up that looked worse than this. You will not be seeing it. I looked like an idiot. So I did this. I do have plans on how I'm gonna make the hat. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna make it out of EVA foam. This thing is color blocked like 8 different ways, and I just like do not feel like learning how to do true millinery work. Millinery? How do you pronounce it? I don't know how to pronounce it. I've only ever read the word. I don't know how to do traditional millinery work. This is not a project I should be learning on. It is entirely too fantasy. It's too complicated. I will not be doing that. So instead, I think I'm going to do this out of EVA foam, and then I'm going to color block a like sleeve basically out of the fabric that I'm using for the dress, and that's going to go like on the hat. I do think it's a little too tall still. I don't know. This is mostly just to get shapes. I didn't buy a pattern for this. I literally just kind of started scribbling on paper and got my snips out and like guesstimated real hard. So there's a couple things I need to address. Like there's like some yeah, you can see there's like some gapping and a couple spots on the pattern and stuff like that, which is how I can do those slippy things. There's like a space in here. Yeah, see, and I can stick my finger in, and I think it's a little too tight like in this area. So I need to do a couple more alterations on this to make sure like the foam pattern's right. But other than that, I think this looks pretty good. And I do need to figure out the brim shape. Again, I'm just gonna guess, and it's probably gonna look fine. But yeah, so the hat looks goofy as all get out. I can't take myself seriously with this thing on. It looks so dumb. But in addition to that, I did also work on sizing the rifle. This is a really important step for me. So I have a paper tracing of the rifle. This is the smaller version. Yep. And I just like trace it and then I tape it together that way I can get kind of a vibe for how tall it is. I do believe this is accurate to her height, but when I like hold this up to my shoulder like I would be holding up a rifle proper, it's like 10% too big still, which is really concerning to me because I've already shrank this thing like 20%. I don't know how that's gonna go. We're gonna do some guess and check when I'm printing out the individual pieces for this. Like I said, I'm self-taught from the university to fuck around and find out. So that's what we do in this household. I haven't started on the 3D model yet because this looks really hard. It's got a lot of curves in it. I don't really know how to make this, and I'm kind of scared. So I'm gonna dream about it a little bit more. I'm gonna just like, I just kind of chip away at my 3D models over the course of a really long time. I will probably not have a video of how I do my 3D modeling in Blender. It is a lot of redoing pieces. Each individual piece that I make probably gets remodeled like 3 to 5 times. It is very rare that I have a piece that is not like started over from scratch because I'm just not very good at modeling in Blender. And that's also why I take so long to do it and why I typically start on the models a lot earlier than I have. I've really been avoiding the model on this one, is because I just have to redo things like over and over and over and over and over until I get them right. Anyway, back to other carbon. That was everything that I worked on this week. I know it was a lot. Yeah, that's what I got. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good rest of your week. Have a good Monday. Bye. I'm rambling a lot. I didn't plan on talking about this. I just put a microphone in front of me and just started putting on a silly little costume that I don't want to take off because it looks cute. I'm really happy with how she looks. All this is going to get edited out. That's okay. It looks cute. I think it looks really cute. Oh, I'm cold and tired. I want to take a nap. Being a YouTuber is hard. It's not that hard. I'm being a baby. I did a bunch of pinchy pinch. It's the technical term. Keep that in mind.